Today's boxing conversation started with a fan perk up. Today I get some rounds with the GOAT, one of the GOATs, Iron. The clip that followed, showing Terence "Bud" Crawford working with Andre Ward, did exactly what you'd expect. It set the internet on fire. You could see the respect, the competitiveness, and that subtle gnaw between elite fighters who know what it takes to operate at the very top. Ward, an Olympic gold medalist and a two-division world champion, is a Hall of Famer for a reason. Crawford is widely viewed as a pound-for-pound king for a reason. Put them in the same gym, and it becomes the kind of footage that starts conversations in every boxing group chat. The immediate reaction when something like this: if Crawford is sparring Andre Ward as he gears up for Canelo Alvarez, he's not just preparing, he's preparing smart. Ward's ring IQ, his ability to control range, and his mastery of the clinch and inside fighting make him the perfect look if you're sizing up a bigger, stronger opponent. That's how a lot of fans framed it. This is how it's ready to face the middleweight, 168 pounds. And in a fight where size, power, and timing will all matter, working with someone like Ward looks like a statement of intent. But here's where we need to be precise. That Ward sparring isn't brand new. The rounds in that clip are from older sessions, not current camp work for Canelo. Still, the takeaway stands. Crawford has access to the right people. If he wants to sharpen against elite minds and bodies, he can, and he's the type to seek those edges. The point is less about whether this week's work featured Ward, and more about what the footage reminds everyone. Bud is a student of the game, and he keeps company with the best. If you thought the leaked training clips would slow down, they didn't. More gym footage circulated, showing Bud gliding around the ring with sharp feet, stepping into crisp combinations, and keeping a relentless pace behind that switch-hitting rhythm. What jumped off the screen wasn't theatrics. It was a discipline built over years. Precise timing, head movement that makes counters miss by inches, and that sudden punch selection that turns a quiet round into a highlight. It's the kind of training reel that fuels the hype. Crawford versus Canelo is the fight the boxing world is circling on the calendar. What does this all mean headed into the matchup? Opinions are split, and the reasons are fascinating. Simon Jordan, whose voice carries weight in sports media, came out with a bold claim. Terence Crawford might be the kryptonite for Saul Canelo Alvarez. That's a strong word in boxing, but Jordan explained it clearly. In his view, Crawford's adaptability, his ability to read a fight round by round and change gears on the fly, could be exactly the profile that troubles Canelo. Throughout his career, Bud has made adjustments mid-fight that leave opponents out of ideas. Against a champion who loves to control tempo, punish mistakes, and walk you into power shots, having a fighter in front of you who won't be baited, who can go. That's a different than just facing a punch or a pure mover. Jordan's take also pushes back against the size-only narrative. Yes, Canelo is a naturally bigger man at 168. Yes, he's tested his ceiling at light heavyweight. But we've seen what happens when size alone is the angle. It can be blunted by a fighter with the right plan, the right pace, and the right instincts. Jordan believes Crawford has that blend of craft and composure. What does Crawford think? He's not into narratives. If there's a single through line in how Bud talks about fights, it's this: he takes everyone seriously. He said it 100 times. From Victor Postal to Yuri Ortiz Gamboa to Errol Spence Jr., he treated each assignment like it could define him. Moving up in weight for big nights? He's done it before. He respects resumes and reputations, but he doesn't bow to them. He trains like every fight is the hardest of his career. And that's exactly the point heading into this one. I don't change who I am or how I work. He's repeated in ways. Version of the man across from me. That preparation includes an underrated truth about this camp. At super middleweight, Crawford doesn't have to punish his body to make a limit. In past camps, he's managed cutting muscle and watched strength work carefully. Not now. He can go all in with strength and conditioning, add functional mass naturally, and arrive stronger without the drain of a brutal cut. When asked about how he's handling the move up, he kept it simple. The weight will come with the work. There's no crash plan. There's no panic. Just the right work every day. A lot of conversation has swirled around Canelo's performance against William Skull. Critics labeled it flat, slow, uninspired. Crawford isn't buying the idea that one-off night tells the whole story. He said as much. One bad performance doesn't define a great fighter. The veteran move is to assume you'll face the best version of Canelo Alvarez, the focused, sharp, body-punching force who takes away your strengths. Not the push Canelo to a dangerous place. That's just how that fight played out. But is planning for a Canelo who is locked in, not a Canelo who drifts. That mindset means he won't be surprised by a faster start, a tighter defense, or a more aggressive hunt for counters. Some fans have argued Crawford has to fight like Skull to win, that he'll need to make an ugly, negative, low-contact fight to neutralize Canelo's power. Crawford's answer was quiet but telling. He'll fight his fight. Bud's fight my fight mantra isn't bravado. It's strategy. He adapts inside his own system. He'll take space away or give it, he'll counter or lead, but he won't imitate someone else's blueprint just because it worked for a night. That's been his hallmark since lightweight. He writes a plan for you, not for your last opponent. Of course, no modern super fight lives and judging. Whenever Canelo's name is on marquee, some voices get nervous about scorecards. The debate goes like this. If the fight is judged fairly, Crawford has the tools to win. But can you outpoint Canelo in a close fight and actually get the nod? That question hovers over big Vegas nights and international cards alike. If Crawford were to beat Canelo clearly, the aftershock will be massive, not only for pound rankings, but for what comes next. Which brings us to the elephant in the room, David Benavidez. If Bud beats Canelo at super middleweight, the drumbeat for Crawford versus Benavidez would be deafening. The storyline is ready-made. Benavidez, the bullying, high-output, heavy-handed monster at 168. Crawford, the cerebral assassin stepping up again. Fans already talk about it like a dream matchup. And yes, there's plenty of noise about past offers in catchweights. Rumors that Turkey Alshik floated a 164-pound catchweight. Debates about who wanted what, and back-and-forth chatter that pulls in Jose Benavidez Jr. as old grudge match with Crawford as a reference point. Strip away the heat, and here's the core. If Bud beats Canelo, the appetite for Crawford versus Benavidez becomes impossible to ignore. On the other side of the aisle, respected trainer Robert Garcia looks at the same puzzle and leans Canelo. Garcia's point isn't that Crawford can't win. In fact, he gives but a very real chance if he fights a near-perfect fight. Clean angles, disciplined defense, purposeful combinations, and no needless exchanges. But in Garcia's eyes, Canelo's experience and size at 168 tilt the balance. He doesn't expect Canelo to show up flat-footed and single-punching like he did at times in the John Ryder bout. He expects a sharper version, tighter pressure, better shot selection, and a scorecard-friendly approach that keeps the rounds from drifting. Can Crawford keep Canelo honest with power at 168? Garcia isn't sure. He knows Canelo's chin is proven against big punchers. Yet he still allows a scenario where Crawford boxes the perfect fight and sees it through. If he had to bet, he sticks with Canelo, but he knows what kind of brilliance it would take from Bud, and he respects that Bud is capable of it. Ryan Garcia saw a similar way, though he added a detail a lot of fighters mention: Canelo's chin. Ryan talked at length about how difficult it is to truly move Canelo with single. He brought up Golovkin landing clean, and Canelo just resetting, never unraveling. Ryan believes Bud's skill will tell. Clean shots, sharp counters, plenty of scoring. But he worries the impact won't deter Canelo from imposing himself over time. That's where the size and sturdiness of a natural super middleweight can become a grind. Ryan didn't disrespect Bud's resume or talent. Far from it. He called Crawford one of the most complete fighters he's ever seen. But at this weight, against his opponent, he leans Canelo. Then you have analysts who take a hard-line stance on experience. They argue that Canelo Alvarez has seen every style Crawford can offer. The list is long. Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s surgical footwork and counters, Aristotle South, Caleb Plant and Billy Joe Saunders with their switch-ups and rhythm changes, Daniel Jacobs with mid-fight adjustments, Gennady Golovkin's two-fisted power and pressure, Sergey Kovalev's long right hand. The gist of their argument is simple. There is nothing new under the sun for Canelo. He has shared a ring with the best and adapted to them all. In their view, Crawford won't overwhelm Canelo with volume, won't overpower him with size, and won't flummox him with tricks he hasn't seen. They respect Bud as a first ballot Hall of Famer someday, but they question whether his resume matches the aura. Agree or disagree, that perspective is loud in this debate. Preparation doesn't happen in a corner of the world anymore. Every sparring partner gets mentioned. Every clip gets parsed. That's why word of Canelo bringing in Jaron Boots enters for rounds out of tension. Boots is an athletic phenom at welterweight, with explosive bursts and an arsenal that keeps opponents on the back foot. Canelo working with someone that fast, and that dynamic sends a message. He's not taking Crawford lightly. It also invites a little bit of theater. A lot of fans have longed for Crawford versus Boots at 147 or 154, and there was even a public exchange once that hinted at that tension. So, is Canelo bringing Boots into camp just smart preparation? Absolutely. Is there also a bit of mind games, inviting in a fighter many fans wanted Bud to face next, as a way to seize a narrative? Possibly. Two things can be true at once. Canelo is turning over every stone to prep for Bud, and he's savvy enough to understand the psychology around it. What about Crawford's physical strength at higher weights? One of the most telling voices on that subject is Amir Khan, who shared the ring with Bud and knows the difference between rumor and reality. Khan has repeated that Crawford is much stronger than people realize. He's not just slick and clever. He's heavy-handed and hard to move in the clinch. Khan has even talked about seeing Bud wrestle larger men in the gym and hold his own. No surprise, since Crawford wrestled in his youth and still uses those instincts to control ties on the inside. Photos of Bud walking around in the 180s during non-camp periods get tossed around online as evidence he can carry size. Khan's point is simpler. Bud's strength is real. It's not just technique. When he locks you up, you feel it. That takes us to the heart of how this fight is perceived. Some people call it a 50-50 fight, and they don't mean that casually. Canelo enters with the obvious advantages. Size, years of experience at 168, a granite chin, the muscle memory of dealing with world-class movement and counters. Crawford enters with a pristine record, a surgeon's control over pace and distance, and the kind of mental game that wears opponents down even before a big moment arrives. It feels like a perfect storm. Canelo what he is versus everything that makes Bud what he is. For Crawford, this is more than a risk. It's a chance to redefine the sport's top tier. He's dominated every division he's touched. He's unified, conquered, and left little doubt. But super middleweight is different, and Canelo is different. Beat Canelo at 168, and the conversations about pound-for-pound supremacy become entirely new. The doors that open after that, Benavidez, a possible second fight, the kind of legacy nights that etch your name in history, those aren't hypotheticals. They would be right there on the table. There are skeptics. They look at the calendar and say Bud is in his mid-30s. They point to the physical realities of moving up against a man who has stopped and outlasted bigger fighters. They point to the time gap since the Spence fight. They say the demands of a larger division will start to show against a champion who made that division his kingdom. Those voices are part of the chorus too. Age and size matter. The question is whether Crawford's timing, conditioning, and efficiency can neutralize those variables. He's built his career on making doubters second-guess themselves. But this is a new level question.